Welcome to Huntin' Stories, brought to you by Late to the Game Outdoors. Everyone loves a good story, and hunters have some of the best. Our whole mission is to collect and share great stories from hunters just like you, to entertain and keep you motivated all year long. So, pull up a seat around the campfire, because here we go. All right, welcome back to Huntin' Stories, and this is your host Eric, and I'm here with my buddy, my cinematographer, my colleague, Ben Crosby.
Nice to be here. How you doing?
Oh, just so good. Glad we're here. Ben is, we've worked together for years now. He's actually a professional cinematographer and not a hunter, at least at this point. I don't know. I'm still working on him. But Ben's here because I wanted to tell the story of this year's Colorado elk hunt, and Ben accompanied me on this hunt. You may remember this. You came to me like over a year ago, just randomly. We were setting up for something at work.
Yeah.
And said like, hey, I used to do a lot of backpacking. My backpacking buddy moved. So if you're ever doing like a big backpack trip, let me know, and I'll come run a camera for you.
Yep.
I'm not sure if when you said that you thought I would actually take you up on it.
I figured at a certain point it took like a year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't do a big backpacking trip, really. Not one that seemed worthy of calling upon your skills. But like the second I decided I was going to Colorado, it was like 6 months from when we were leaving. You were the second text I made. I texted my brother-in-law to say, hey, I'm going. If you want to come, let's go. And then I immediately texted you. And I honestly thought you were going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember saying that. No, I'm not so interested.
No, I had a one more week of vacation than my wife. I needed a good excuse to use it. So
I'm so happy that I could provide that excuse.
Yeah.
So Ben jumped in and we drove up and hunted for a week in Colorado with him running camera and me carrying a bow. And it was a crazy story. So I'm hoping that in this interaction here today, we can just sort of walk through sort of the progression of the week and whatever comes to you. But I'd also love to hear your perspective as an outdoorsman, but not necessarily a hunter, kind of getting your first taste of like backcountry Colorado elk hunting, because it's a weird world.
Yeah.
Okay. So without further ado, we left for Colorado, drove 8-ish hours from the Phoenix area, and landed that day, like we got there mid-afternoon, right? And we had a few hours left. We probably could have, if we wanted to really push it, like park at the trailhead, throw our packs on, head in there, and make it to camp just before night. That seemed like a bad idea.
Yeah. There was a lot of cars already there and no signs of people coming close. So it was like, it might be a while before we can set up camp, because we didn't hear anybody, but we saw people, or saw cars.
Yeah, there were it wasn't an empty trailhead, but it's not like elk were screaming. We were already at that point like 8,000 feet higher than home.
Yeah, you can feel it.
That was my biggest concern, was like a couple of desert rats just like getting out there and getting all gung-ho and then passing out.
Yeah.
Altitude sickness is real and sounds miserable.
Yeah, it was immediately clear, like even just no weight, already out of breath, just like just like moving to the trunk was already enough.
Hopping out of the truck and going to pee, you're like, oh, I need to take a breather.
Yeah.
Man, but so we decided to just like kind of get some footage, make sure the bow was okay, and we were just going to sleep at the trailhead. We decided, I convinced you, and I shouldn't have. You wanted to go find a place to like, let's set up our tents. I was like, my tent is like in my pack. I don't want to undo all that. Let's just sleep in the bed of the truck. It'll be fine. And it was fine until about 2 a.m.
I mean, it was great. I saw like a few shooting stars, and the air was nice. It was nice and cold, which that was the main thing I was looking forward to, was the cold. But
yes, but then it started to spit rain on us at 2 a.m. And so we frantically were like just throwing stuff in the back of the truck. We ended up like sleeping half sitting up in the front, just trying to ride out the rest of the night.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. And we woke up and the windows were all fogged up.
Yes.
I don't think anyone saw, but that would have probably given a few people pause.
Yeah, it would have looked like we were doing something very different in the parking lot of that trailhead. Man, so I should have listened to you. Already we're off to a great start. And then, woke up and okay, got ourselves moving, hiked in a little over 2 miles. Was this spot that we had picked out to camp because it was close to water. Like, we knew, okay, a few hundred yards down this hill, there's going to be water, which apparently everyone told me there's water everywhere in Colorado. That's probably true. I was so afraid of not having water just because every time we're out anywhere around here, that's a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
So we're either packing in massive amounts of water or you're just desperately hoping that the stream or whatever hasn't dried up because then you die.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were seeing water, 1,000 feet above our base camp, going uphill for a couple hours and streams, little ponds. And
yeah.
Yeah.
We could have... we debated back and forth, and I wasn't even sure. Should we set up a base camp right next to water and then hike out every day, or should we pack up camp every morning and just hunt wherever the elk take us and then set up camp that night? We opted for the base camp. I still think it was the right call, having never been in that area.
It would have been. I mean, we could have gotten really far in.
Yes,
yeah.
we could have chased those things and then found ourselves at the end of the week oh shoot, we have 2,000 vertical feet and 17 miles to cover to get back.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same point, it might not have been. I don't know. Who knows what was over the ridge?
Yeah. I often think about that ridge and how I'm sure it was going to be so much harder to go up and over. But in my memory, I'm like, no, it's right there. We should have just gone over.
I mean, it looked. I remember walking in. And you're like, yeah, we're just gonna head up that way. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. It didn't look bad at all. It was just a hill.
Yes, that hill that you're referring to, we called Suck Mountain the rest of the week. So that was so we went in, we set up camp. I think we had lunch or something, and then we were like, okay, we've got the rest of the afternoon. Let's head up this mountain
casually.
Yeah,
let's do it.
I wasn't trying to I didn't know what it was going to be like. Arizona, we have mountains. And you can look and be like, okay, let's go up that mountain. And it's going to be a little challenging, but it's not going to almost kill you.
Yeah, there's boulders you got to step over, but nothing else. There's rocks.
Yeah. Suck Mountain in Colorado is a very different mountain.
Very different.
We would climb up past 11,000 feet. So camp was at just over 10, up past 11. And it is just the steepest thing I've ever climbed.
Well, it was all, pretty much, 45 and then covered in tall grass.
Yes.
Thick, grab your ankles and you got to yank your feet up, tall grass.
Yeah. And if it's not that, it's deadfall everywhere. And if it's not that, it's avalanche chutes.
Yeah.
And this shale rock stuff that tries to come out from under you. There were at least a couple times where there were those moments of I'm about to go down this mountain.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be good.
Yeah, there's quite a few. And yeah, this was first time doing any of this with camera equipment. So there was added pressure in that sense. Cause anytime I go, I film things for a living. So I don't normally bring cameras. Everyone's like, oh, you got some good videos of your hikes and stuff. I'm like, I don't enjoy pulling out a camera in that mode. This was different. This was oh, I know, I'm here to do this. But when I'm going, to a national park or something, I'll pull out my phone and be like, yeah, if I was here, that's all I have.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to bring work on vacation with you.
Yeah.
It'd be like an accountant bringing his laptop
yeah.
to hike up a mountain and then sit there and do spreadsheets or whatever accountants do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was the added complication of, I'm going to fall on my face and also break your camera.
Well, that's the risk we run.
Yeah.
I was grateful watching you. We would get to a place and you'd be like, hey, this looks like a kind of cool spot. So you stay here. I'm going to scurry further up Suck Mountain. And then you would, tell me to go and I would walk past you and make it look all natural and awesome.
Yeah.
Which I'm so grateful for a number of reasons. Your footage looks amazing, but also usually I'm solo filming. So I would have to walk up Suck Mountain, set a camera, walk back down Suck Mountain, walk past it, come back to get the camera. It feels really stupid when you're filming by yourself.
Yeah, that's why I was when I first saw your stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I remember even when I was a kid, watching Survivor Man before I was into video, and I'm like, did he go back? Just like thinking through that, like, oh, you have to feel like an idiot walking back to your camera, like after pretending that you're progressing, so I was just like, okay, all my backpacking buddies are gone. I'm not going to ask my other buddies to spend $500 to get the basic gear to see if they like it. And so I'm like, yeah, let's see how this goes, and maybe I can help him backtrack a little less.
Which you did.
Yeah.
You helped me in a number of ways, but yes, there was a lot less backtracking, a lot less feeling stupid, and just I enjoy solitude. I do a lot of solo hunting,
Mm-hmm.
but a week's a long time.
Yeah.
So I actually really enjoyed having a buddy there to talk with, and I think it helped my wife be okay that I was going. Because she's used to me kind of solo hunting, but a new state way far away, she would have been a lot more nervous if you weren't there.
Yeah, it was. I've only done like small group camping and hiking and stuff like that, and backpacking. Yeah, never solo. So I was like, yeah, my wife wouldn't have been down for it at all, and I would have used that as an excuse to say I wasn't down for it at all. Yeah, my wife doesn't want me to do that.
Yeah, and no one could go, so I couldn't go hike Suck Mountain.
No.
Yeah, so in the hunt, we go up the mountain. That first day, we run into a couple of elk. I think we had 2 different encounters with some cows that none of them were, we spooked them before we knew they were there.
Yeah.
Came back down and had dinner, went to bed, that whole thing. Day 2 is when action really started. 'Cause we woke up. We went back up Suck Mountain, and we kept trying different routes up the mountain. So the first time was a lot of deadfall that was really hard, and the way back down, I think, was an avalanche chute. The way we took up that second morning was another boulder hopping avalanche thing, if I remember.
Yeah.
But we got up there, and you were clutch because you saw the elk that I did not see. So I was walking ahead of you, just barreling into this area where there was a wallow and stuff that we had marked the day before. And then I cannot remember the sound you made. It was like a bird call or you made some semi-natural non-human noise that got my attention. And I look back and you're giving me the Navy SEAL hand signals because you were over to the side and could see this elk just out feeding in a meadow. And so I crept over, and sure enough, here's this cow who was now alert that something was going on because I was moving around like a jackass. And she's right between this gap in the trees, which it's just, if you're a hunter, you've been in this situation where there's a gap that looks like, okay, I've got a couple feet here where she's between all these trees, but the trees aren't parallel. One of them is 10 feet closer to you than the other. So I'm I have a gap right here, but if I take a step to my left, now the tree that's closer to me is blocking the route. So all I have in my line of sight is her head and her neck. And man, if she would just take 1 or 2 steps forward, vitals would be right in that gap, and we'd be in business. She was at the end of my effective range, would have been great. And so we just hung out there waiting for her to do something. She finally started to move. I drew, but she was just running away. Then I had all this chaos with my call that wouldn't work, and I'm just making these squeaks and honks, and I'm sure it's just adrenaline and the altitude, and I'm just, oh my gosh. So I made one elk call, and she paused for a second, and then I started honking like a goose, and then she tore off and then took all of her buddies with her, which it was. There was 10 or so, maybe cows and calves, and bringing up the rear is this nice 6-point bull I had no idea was tucked back in the timber. Yeah. And so we were jacked, oh man, we've been at full draw on day 2. This is exciting.
And it feels like it's stocked,
Yeah.
We saw elk sign everywhere, a lot of fresh, a lot of old.
Yeah.
And so it felt good, a lot of bedding.
Yeah, it seemed like all the pieces were there. Oh man, we are going to get an elk. This is going to be amazing.
Day 2 was high. Yeah.
Day 2, we were on top of the world. We went back down Suck Mountain. That's when we found the least bad route up and down. It's an old game trail down. It was still steep. It was still murderous, but I didn't have any I almost died there. So we marked that. That was our new route.
Yeah.
And then day 3, we decided I don't know if we knew it was going to rain. We had already encountered some rain day 1 or 2.
Yeah. Or no, I think did day 3, didn't we go off in a different direction?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we chose to like, okay, we just saw some elk that we just spooked and had an encounter. I think if I was honest, I'm like my body is feeling 2 days up and down this mountain.
Yeah.
So we just went towards these other mountains where there were some trails and some stuff that looked good on the topographical map.
Yeah.
And we encountered no elk, and then the thunderstorm rolled in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So
It hit hard.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It first hit while we were out there, and like we just rode it out, sitting under trees with like in the middle of a lightning storm,
and some elk bedding too. Like it was where they would be.
Yeah, like this was shelter for an elk, so now it's shelter for us.
Yeah.
We didn't die. We got soaked.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't too bad while we were under the trees.
No.
It was all the tall grass we had to like walk through that were just like gathered on our pants and just fell into our shoes.
Yeah. We were okay after the storm had passed. And then we decided to like, okay, well, the storm passed, so they're going to get up and move around.
Yeah.
So we started not on the trail, but just like going through this grass, knees down, just sopping wet.
Yeah, that'll change your mood.
Yeah. The all the elation of day 2 was gone.
Yeah.
And we hunted our way basically back to camp. Tried to like dry out, but more rain was running in. Like I remember ending that night. The sun was still up, but it was pouring down rain.
Yeah, no direct sunlight or anything to dry.
Yeah. We didn't have a fire that night, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it was like we didn't. You were trying to make dinner.
Yes.
And it was like iffy if we'd even have the ability to get a fire going or how long we could even be out of the tents for.
Yeah. I think we popped out for, I had a hot meal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever did.
I was like, I'm wet. And I was wet. And this was the first time I was dry. And I was like, I had my pants and everything drying. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh, man. So we woke up the next morning. Still kind of wet, still cranky. And it was I had been texting Sarah on the InReach, and she was looking up weather for us. So it was supposed to be another off and on rain day, and we needed more supplies.
And you're also forgetting the temperature that it
right.
happened to be after the rain.
Yeah, after the rainstorm blew through, it dipped 15 degrees from where it was at night.
Oh, yeah.
So we woke up to not only like cold, hungry, but now we're in like freezing temperatures.
Yeah,
like,
ice on the tents and all over the grass.
Water is half frozen in the bags outside.
Yeah,
and, I think one of those final mornings, my watch said 30 something, like mid 30s or something inside my tent, which means probably worse outside my tent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that also changes the mood.
And then where we set up camp, we didn't get morning sun until like, I don't know, 2 hours after sunrise.
Yeah, it's full. Like you can see we're up, we're making breakfast, we're doing all that. Like all the hills around us are illuminated, and we are still not in the sun.
It was awful
freezing.
watching it. Like just you see the sun, you know it's coming, and you're just shaking, waiting for it. That was awful.
Oh, yeah. That I think morale started to dip a little bit. Hey guys, this is Eric from Late to the Game Outdoors and producer of Huntin' Stories. I wanted to thank Bun and Beanster for making this show possible. These guys are the real deal. Whether you're a seasoned business owner or a startup or running a side hustle like I am, they can help you with your branding, logo, easy to manage websites, and fresh creative ideas for your business. They can also help you look the part by helping you design those tricky one-off events. They deliver amazing printed goods, quality apparel, even signage. Truly a one-stop creative shop, and they stand by their work guaranteed. For free consultations and useful resources, go to bunandbeanster.com to check them out, or catch them on Instagram at bunandbeanster. Now back to the show. So day 5, finally, we have 2 days to hunt, and we made our way back up Suck Mountain. And that is when it became clear that the elk had vacated.
Yeah.
Like I had given up on calling just because I felt like, if anything, I'm spooking them more than I'm doing any good. And once we got up there, we walked around all day.
Yeah.
Like every bench, we found new wallows. We just kind of went crisscrossing all over that place. And there was nothing there. Like not a lot of the smell that we would get into, not anything. And so where we were, another 500 vertical feet was the top of this ridge. that ran, and so it's possible they went up and over to the other side. We never decided to chase them up there because after moving around where I thought surely we'd find them, we did not.
Nope.
So made our way back down that day and decided day 6, final day to hunt. It was still freezing cold. I believe Sarah had confirmed, it's going to stay freezing cold.
Yeah.
So we decided if we didn't wake up to Screaming Bulls day 6, we were going to pack up camp, head back to the truck, drive to Plan B, hunt the rest of the day in Plan B, like Hail Mary time, and then see where we were at.
Yeah. I mean, the wind was always swirling.
Yeah.
Like,
I forgot about that. It would not stay consistent at all.
And then we couldn't sneak. All the deadfall, we were just making noises the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have camo or anything, so I didn't help with the visuals. And yeah, I mean, that was the tough part. Yeah, seeing you pull out the powder, and then like you'd be walking for 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, we've just been giving up our scent this way. Let's turn around. Do that for 5 minutes, and it's just as useless as the first try. So
yeah, you would always. We kept adjusting. Like, okay, now we're going against the wind. And then I would feel on the back of my neck, like, son, and pull out the bottle. Sure enough, it's flipped again. Awesome. Yep. So annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, day 6, we woke up, still no Screaming Bulls, and packed up camp, walked down the hill. All the muzzleloader guys were on their way in because their hunt started the next day, which is part of why, I don't know why Colorado does it this way, but archery season's a month long. And then in the middle of it, really in like the prime rutting days, they have a week-long muzzleloader season. And I personally didn't want to be sharing the woods with the Orange Army.
No.
So we dipped out, hit the truck, drove down to this Plan B spot, kind of further down the road.
Well, don't forget about the cowboy.
Oh my gosh, the saga of the cowboy. I did forget about the cowboy. Okay, well, you have to tell this part because he spoke to you first.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see much, but on the way in, we saw a lot of horse trail. A lot of, like, you could tell a bunch of horses came through, pooped all over the trail. And
it was so nice of them.
Yeah. And then, it was when we did that first, isn't it when we grabbed food the first time?
Yes, it was our resupply on day 4. That's right.
Yeah, and then we just all of a sudden, we hear something behind us, and it's, 12 horses coming through and 2 wranglers and this guy in a leather duster and cowboy hat.
Just straight Wyatt Earp. It was great.
Yeah, he fit the part. He mumbles something in cowboy at us. And I was confused. I didn't I think you made it out. I was just like, he mumbled something. I'm pretty sure he had dip in his mouth. So he sounded the part as well. And we gathered that he dropped his knife, and he was trying to explain that it fell somewhere close and he wasn't going to get off trail to get it. So we were like, let's see if we can find it. And we looked, and there was a steep hill, looked, combed it, couldn't find anything that resembled a knife. Then got back to the trailhead where we saw him. We thought for a second he was maybe messing with us, like that he was just sending us on a wild goose chase.
Mess with the city boys.
Yeah. We got back, and he gave us his sheath because he was like, I can't get in, and if you find it, here you go. And so
which was also weird because he's like, did you find it? Like, no, sorry, we looked, because we were trying to find it for him, like do him a favor.
Yeah.
And then he kind of frustrated, whips off his belt. I'm like, is he going to spank us? What is happening right now?
Yeah.
And pulled out this leather sheath. It was like, well, here, if you can find it, it's yours.
It was nice, and it was very motivating. We're like, we got to find this thing now.
Yes, we can't find elk anymore. We can at least find this knife.
Yes, we're knife hunters now.
Yeah, so we looked more on the way back in.
Yep.
And then when we were coming out on day 6, we stopped again to look. And nothing. And he was so clear, in his mind, he could clearly see in his memory, it fell right next to this bush behind this tree.
Yep.
And it was not.
But it was
there.
steep. It was a steep part that it fell, and he was, on horseback, so it was up high when it fell. So I don't know. I think about it a lot.
You wonder about that knife.
And we left the sheath at the trailhead in case someone else found it. But
he wrote him a note or something like, this sheath belongs to a knife that's behind a tree, apparently.
Yeah. Talk to Cowboy for further details.
That was all we knew him as, Cowboy. Oh, that was a fun, like, weird adventure part of the story.
And we hung a lot of hopes on finding that knife.
We
It's
did.
like, this will be, if nothing else, the victory.
Yeah, especially I could already see like the YouTube thumbnail for the film, and it's like the knife in a, I don't know, bunch of leaves in its sheath. But yeah, no knife.
No knife.
And so day 6, on our way out for a Hail Mary, one last chance for the knife. Again, no knife. And we drove down the road to this next spot, kind of ditched all of our gear, like just garage sailed our packs into the back of the truck to take the bare minimum, because 6 days climbing thousands of feet and busting around, like, we both prepared, like we were relatively in shape.
Relatively.
But my body was feeling it. So we went to this other trail, walked up to the trailhead, and this just the perfect finish to all of this. The trail I had intended to use to hike in and check these kind of benches on this north-facing slope was closed for rainy weather or something.
Mud, like just mud.
Yeah, like this trail is muddy, so we're closing it down.
Yeah. If you have to hike on this trail too much,
Yeah.
This trail requires hiking, so just don't.
Yeah. Thanks, Forest Service. So just like the ultimate salt in the wound of, like, I'm already here, like, hopes are low. I mean, it was worth going, but it was a distant possibility. I was not fully convinced, like, oh yeah, we're gonna head up this trail, shoot an elk right off the side of the trail, home by dinner, it'll be great.
And we saw those like RV campers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, they were loud. They looked like partiers. And
it was a much more hunted area.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
Because that wasn't quite as much the wilderness area. Like, the first place we were was like deep. The only way in there is horseback or on foot.
Yeah.
Which kind of weeds out a lot of hunters. This was a lot more like there was a road system and guys like to hunt off of it. And so trail was closed. Went back to the truck, just drove up that road a little ways, and then found just some spot to pull off, and then just dipped right off the side of the road into the woods where I wanted to be. And we crossed that closed trail a couple times, like just ran into it.
Yeah.
And it looked just fine.
It looked great.
Yeah, it looked like it would have been nice to walk in on.
Yeah.
But we saw a lot of old elk sign.
Yeah, nothing like first few days.
Yeah. So and we were in there at a lower elevation. It's a totally different mountain, different hill. It's amazing how just a few miles can make a huge difference in what the elk are doing. But we just kind of made a big old loop for the whole afternoon. Ended up just sort of looped our way back to the truck while there was still, it was 5:30-ish. Like, there's still a little bit of hunting light, but hadn't seen anything. And we were cold and tired and hungry. And I knew that if we jump in the truck right now, we could get to the nearest, like, town, get ourselves a hotel room, get, like, some hot, greasy food.
Yeah.
And at that point, it sounded way better than, I don't know, driving to one more place to further just kill ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely thinking, you get that, like, first image of other food in your head for that day, and it's just hard to think about anything else after all that.
After a week of freeze-dried meals and that, like, oh, this is pretty good. And you know how, like, meat is supposed to have a nice crunch to it? It's delightful.
Yeah. It's always the asterisk. Yeah, it's pretty good for
what it is. Yeah. I mean, it tastes, at the end of a long day, it's like the best thing you've ever had.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just decided, like, we're calling it, and jumped in the truck and drove down to Cortez, Colorado, where your Yelp skills redeemed the whole trip, I would say.
There's some good spots there, surprisingly.
Yeah. Just found a dinner spot where we sat under a giant elk mount, which was just fitting.
We found a dead one.
Yeah. We finally found one, pre-killed. It was
Yeah.
great. But just had big greasy dinner, slept in a warm bed after having actual showers.
Yeah, that was needed.
Yeah, more after wipe baths every day.
Yeah.
It was more than necessary. Then just another great greasy dive breakfast spot, and hit the road to come back home.
Yep.
And I'm not sorry at all about how that ended. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed our time in Cortez, Colorado.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, just watching through footage and
Yeah.
just seeing what we got and just enjoying the warmth.
Yeah, that was the main part. And it was like, yeah, going from ground to Motel 6, was it?
Motel
8?
Super 8.
Super
yes.
8, yeah.
With Sketchy Dan or whatever,
Yeah.
the creepy guy
Yeah,
working
Austin,
the counter.
I'm pretty sure it was
Oh,
his
man.
name.
Yeah, you don't forget a name like that.
No. Well, it's my brother's name, but
I didn't mean the name. I more meant the guy. That sounds
no.
really bad. Not all people named Austin are perfectly fine. This particular Austin
yes,
is a different cat.
He was a weirdo. But yeah, nothing like freezing cold ground for 5 days to make a Super 8 feel like a 5-star motel.
Yeah. It felt incredible.
Yeah.
And it had been recently renovated by amateurs with sight problems.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like really well done, but it was better than 1970s shag carpeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not closed off to the idea of Super 8 anymore.
You take what you can get when you roll into a town like Cortez, Colorado,
Yeah.
where you've never been and have no idea what's around.
There's few options, yeah.
Oh man! So all of that fun adventure. Would you go again?
Yeah, I would definitely go again. Like I thought I knew, just given what I've done in the past for backpacking, what I was getting into, but I just didn't realize how much of the day, like, you're just going.
Yeah.
Like because when I go backpacking, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fish for a few hours. I'm gonna bring my hammock and I'm gonna read. I'm gonna drop my pack and just go explore. A couple hours in this direction and then the next day in that direction. So just very chill. So I knew I was coming in filming stuff. I just was surprised how much go there was, and plus that and the first time filming. Like a nature type thing like that. Like I've filmed on, trails and stuff like that, but never like with the intent of, okay, I'm not gonna have power for a few days and I just need to be ready. That was the main thing, being ready. Is I was not quite, if something did happen, I wasn't, especially those first few days. Like luckily your GoPro helmet cam caught it, but I wasn't ready to film you getting the kill. So like going into it next time, I'll know like, yeah, I gotta treat it like it's the gun as well, like where I can just grab it and shoot. Because I would have had Velcro and clips and stuff, and the camera buried deep in different things. Like, yeah, I would definitely do it again, but a different way.
Yeah, and depleted oxygen reserves, and we were both on that like altitude supplement stuff, which was another like. I thought a lot during that trip. I was like, how much faith did Ben put in me? Not only just like, hey, come to this place, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. But like a few days before, I picked up this, like, it's from Wilderness Athlete, this altitude advantage. It's supposed to like prevent altitude sickness. Yeah. And so I just show up to work with a Ziploc baggie of pills. I'm like, hey, start taking these. and I don't know. I probably texted you the link about them in case you or your wife were concerned.
Yeah.
But I just handed you drugs. Like, this is important.
Yeah. It's like, I know where you live. I know where you work. I wasn't too worried. I've been to your house.
Yeah, it's I'm not a serial killer.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah, I was like, you're playing a really long game if this is your goal.
I got a job here so I could work with you for 6 years just so I could trick you into taking these drugs and going on this trip.
I was like, this is beyond me. So if this is how I die, it's a good story. Yeah.
Oh man. I think those are all the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, we besides like just the random like almost falling and waiting at a freezing cold lake,
Yes. Oh yeah, we did try a morning of like get up before that was the morning where it was dark and we're trying to make our way to this lake.
Yeah.
And like my phone app was acting weird, and then I pulled out my compass and it was being weird.
Yeah.
It was like something out of Lost where we like stepped into this like magnetic field or something. And so got all turned around and like finally made our way to here's the lake.
Sit there.
Yeah, just sat there
freeze.
seeing because there was some sign around it, but all we did was freeze for a couple hours.
Yep.
I don't know if we said more than like 3 words. Like we were both just cold and like just like had this like acceptable, like we're both kind of cranky, but we're here.
Yeah. It's like, this is all fine as long as an elk shows up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it didn't.
Yeah.
And we went on and tried other things.
But yeah, I mean, like you were telling me, I'm like, I'm down to try this again. Are they all like this?
Yeah, we'll make sure our next one's like an Arizona hunt, where no matter where we go, it's not going to be as bad as that.
And if you see water, something's coming to that water. Yeah.
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
We could sit by a lake in Colorado and they don't care because they've got 75 other water sources up the mountain.
Yeah.
And probably would have, if went back into that same area again, there was enough water we could have found something that we could filter. Probably would have just like hoofed it up Suck Mountain, set camp up there, camped closer to the elk, and it would have sucked to get up there with a full pack, but it would have been better than up and down every day.
Much better. And then just going in, like, not knowing, but it was just the being ready with the camera was the toughest part for me. Just like realizing those first few days we stumbled on them and it was too late to do anything. Like, it's just like, we got to be ready at any given point. Like, even just from my side, much less your side, of like, you got to kill the thing. Like, I just got to film you doing something around the thing, ideally. And I have a few ideas of how to do that better now, but it was a struggle because any other shoot I go on, I have the opportunity to plan it and be like, I'm going to, drive the gear van and park it right there and set up everything. And, so this is such a different part of the brain of just like, be on high alert at all times while going up the mountain, which I mean, it's the same thing you're going through just from the perspective of, killing it.
Yeah.
So
but it at least gives, so we're both in a way hunting something over the course of the adventure. Yeah. You're hunting for the shot and I'm hunting to take the shot. I need to workshop that, but there's a phrase there.
Yeah, something works. One of those will work. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah, totally different vibe from what I've done, in my excursions. Like I'm definitely like the national park hunter, like where I like I want to get to that park, like I have these bucket list parks and, some of them are more or less a hotel, like Yosemite. You go there, there's bathrooms, there's a freaking Trader Joe's. I mean, it was basically a Trader Joe's at base camp. Like, it was weird. It wasn't camping. And then, to this, where it's just middle of nowhere, no cell phone reception, hoping you get enough sun to dry your socks and charge your batteries. But maybe. It's a maybe. that was the scary part, what if I fall off this log into the river that we're crossing and that's my part is done. I am useless from here. I can maybe be a mule, but that's it.
The GoPros are fairly waterproof, so we would just but we don't have any more long range shots, so we're just gonna get real close to everything. Yeah, and it'll be fine.
Yep, back to one.
Yep, it'll at least be a great shot of you carrying the camera and then dropping violently into the water. We'll just put that on loop, and that'll be the film.
Yeah, it'll probably get more views.
That's so true.
Yeah,
YouTube is a funny place. All right. Well, we have talked long enough. My Mac has 2% battery left. So before we lose this, Ben, thank you for trusting me, for going with me. I hope it's not the last trip we take. We'll find some less crazy ones.
Yes.
And then, I don't know, maybe I'll convince you to come to Colorado again sometime.
Sounds good.
Next time I don't get drawn in Arizona and we have to go.
Sounds good. I'll try to be more ready.
It was great. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. And as always, all the same stuff. Please subscribe, leave a review, all that stuff that helps us out. And we'll get some more stories pushed out here in the very near future. Thanks so much for tuning in to Hunting Stories. And if you want to stay up on what we're doing with the podcast or anything else going on with Late to the Game, go ahead and check us out at latetothegameoutdoors.com or give us a follow on Instagram at latetothegameoutdoors. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.